Thank you, Shira, for joining the We Don't Play podcast show today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here and just be part of today's conversation. I know a lot of people are tapping in to this episode because of the topic. And, when you think about this topic, there's a lot of questions that people ask. And then more answers lead to more questions. So I know that we can definitely tackle a few of them, if not all, and really give someone a comprehensive guide. So it would be great for people to know you. Just tell us a little bit of who you are. How did you even get to start this journey? Like, what triggered this career?
Okay, so for me, it started years and years ago. My parents were investors in the 90s. So I remember, I'm originally from New York, from the Bronx. They started purchasing some property in New Jersey. If anyone knows New Jersey area, Camden, New Jersey, in that time in the 90s wasn't the best area, but it was very reasonable to purchase property. So I remember they purchased this property, I believe it was $18,000. So they paid for that property cash. And I got to see that journey from the beginning, right? We going on these road trips on the weekends, my mom with her map at that time before GPS, right? And I remember they would I don't know where she found these addresses, and I need to ask her that question, but she would always have like these lists of addresses, and we would go drive by and look at these properties. That's the way you did it in that time, right? There wasn't, you didn't have easy access on the internet. So I remember doing that with my parents. And as a child, I always knew that I wanted to be in an office, working in an office, right? So I guess I was manifesting that from a young age. I used to play, and my daughter jokes me about this now, but my favorite game to play was to play Office. So I would play with, have a briefcase, and I just knew I wanted to be, I didn't know the corporate world, but that's what I saw, and that's what I wanted to be, right? So years later, I got my real estate license. So I'm licensed in Virginia. And after that, during that course, I thought I wanted to purchase, and sell homes, right, at that time. So during the class, I heard someone talk about property management. And they were talking about you can get, you have a guaranteed salary and all of those things. And I was young, and I said, okay, this is what I need. Guaranteed money. Let me look into this. Got my real estate license. And from there, I remember I was working at a development company at that time. And I shared with one of my coworkers, I said, I just got my real estate license. And she's like, oh, great. My husband, he's a VP at a company. Long story short, found out her husband was the VP of this real estate firm, property management firm. I interviewed there. I stayed with that company for over 8 years. So that was my kind of fall into property management. That was a multifamily, they did manage multifamily assets, right? So I fell into it there. So that's how, and when you talk to people in property management space, many of them will tell you they fell into it. Second career. And no one, as a child, very few people are like, you know what, I am going to be a property manager. That's my job. That's my dream job. That's not usually how it happens. So that's how I kind of fell into it. And from there, 20 years and counting. I've been in property management, and, it's almost split half and half. So multifamily, and then my transition to the commercial side of the business. So I really wanted to get my hands on, people always ask me that, why did you make the transition? I really wanted to get my hands in different aspects of the industry. So
wow.
And that was the way to do it. Yeah.
That is huge. For some people, they're thinking, okay, what is property management? Could you just tell us a little bit? I know it sounds easy to say, but not really.
Right. And when people think of property management, most of the time what comes up is homes, right? Home rentals. And that it's so much bigger. I love to think about your favorite do you have a favorite mall anymore? Or do you have a favorite like place, a retail center you like to go to? Those are managed by property managers. Any arenas, sports plexes, venues, any of those office buildings, hotels, they all have property managers that are managing those assets. And people don't really think about that. They always think it's homes, you know? So just think about all of those things. Even I manage like GSA spaces, government, you know, think of DMV, think of all of those places, border control, those places, all of those are managed by property managers. So,
wow.
So really what property management is, to me, it's really, it's managing the asset, right? Adding value to the asset. Not just, and I like to talk about this a lot, not just being reactive. Oh, they called me because this is broken. It's really taking that step forward to make sure that you are doing proper inspections, proper maintenance, so that you have less things that are broken and need immediate attention, and you're really just maintaining them, you know, in a proper way all the time, so that you're not just waiting for that call, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I love that you brought that up, especially with like the malls aspect, because when people think about, you know, oh, there's this store that it's in the mall, you know, they have to pay a certain amount of fees to keep the rent up or to pay the insurance. You know, there's so many things that come into play. So when someone is starting off, right, and they have no idea, they literally you holding their hands the whole way, and they need to make sure that they trust you so they don't end up in any falling, you know, situations that allow them to, you know, draw back their business. What are the key areas that they should be looking out for when they're trying to figure out, okay, this is the spot I want to be, and this is how long I want to be there? Because I know a lot of commercial spaces are like 3 years, 5 years. It's not like 1 year, which is different for others. So how do they manage that and maintain that to keep up with all those, you know, demands as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. And really, to the person who's thinking that far ahead, who already are winning, because a lot of people just get so excited to get the space and to have that, you know, their business there. But think about, because I've been on the other side of it, right? So you typically in those situations, you're working with a broker, right? They're going through all of the terms and they're having those discussions with you. And then once you've signed, they hand you off to the property manager, right? The property management team is like, they're with you going forward. They're the person or the group that you're going to be contacting day to day. So when I've had this, I've shared with people, like if I go, like I get my eyebrows done, right? So I've gone in and I remember one of the ladies there, she was asking, I told her what I did, because we, you know, developed conversation over the years. And one of the things she would come to me, she was like, well, I have this problem. I want to move, but I'm having trouble with, you know, finding the right person, and I want to make sure I ask the right questions, and, you know, all of those things. So what I think you should do, figure out, like, look at the space, right? Make sure that it really aligns with your business. Make sure that if it's a retail center, that it aligns with your business. If you have boutique services, high end, make sure that that location can sustain that. Look at the area. Don't just say, oh, I love this space and I can transform this space and that's it. People have to drive to your space and they have to get there, and they're going to see all the things around it. So make sure all of that is aligned. So once you've done that, you know, talk to the other tenants in the center. Ask them how vast does, you know, ask them how they like it. Ask them questions about, you know, how fast are things taken care of when you have an issue. Ask them all of those questions, right? So you have to do your own research. Don't just go by what they're, you know, telling you. And then make sure that you have professionals that you can lean on to review legal documents. Make sure that you understand your lease. I have had that so many times. They told me, well, the broker told me this. And I said, well, the lease says this. So we have to go off of the lease. So make sure that you are reviewing all of those documents and you understand. A lot of people don't understand that many times when you have a retail space, so you have that retail space and you also have, there are typically triple nets that are involved in that. So you pay your rent and then you have those other charges, your CAM, your tax, your insurance, all of those things are built in, and it's all done. It's done differently per your lease, so we won't get into all of those. But just make sure that you understand all of that. And then if there are things that you want, make sure that you negotiate those things early. Don't sign and then think that you can go back and negotiate it. What's there is there. They may go back and do an amendment for you, but just get those things up front. So if you are looking, one of the big ones, HVAC. So your HVAC system, those rooftop units are very, very expensive. So typically if you have a unit that is older and you don't know, you haven't done an inspection, you haven't done your due diligence, and that goes out and your lease says you're responsible, you're responsible. So just look at all of those things when you are looking at, leasing a space.
Wow. I'm sure people are like,
it's a lot. And you are a professional with your business, right? Yeah. So that's why I really encourage people to lean on the professionals in their space, the respective space, so that you get the best guidance, right? Don't think that you have to do it all on your own. There are people out there to help you to do that, and ask questions. Yeah. If you don't understand, ask questions. I see people, let me tell you a quick story. I just had a friend who signed a lease. She's in property management. So I said, you know better than this. She's in property management. She has a space, an office space, and she signed this lease. The late fee that's outlined in the lease is like $500. I believe it was $500 if you're late. And the options for them to receive rental payments are, she told me that you can mail it or you have to deliver it to their office. So anything that comes up, right, and you're late, that's $500 per occurrence. She said she saw that, but she wasn't sure. That's an example of, she said she saw it in the lease, but she was like, oh, that can't be, so I just passed over it. Ask and make sure that you understand. So ask those questions.
Wow. That has actually got me thinking pricing wise. Like, when you talked about space, I was thinking, okay, some people pay a lot of money for a small amount of space, and some people don't pay as much money for a big amount of space. Now, when it comes to pricing, like you said, HVAC, you're thinking about insurance, you're thinking about, maintenance and all those things. How best can someone determine what price they're going to pay according to their budget when they're looking at the size and the environment around them?
Well, that's going to really be, and that's a little bit out of my wheelhouse because I don't do the brokerage side of it. Okay. But I would tell anyone, with anything, look at your budget, right? Do comps, do your own research. A lot of everything is on the internet now, right? Mm-hmm. Even for retail spaces, all of those things are on the internet. So really stick to your budget. Make sure that when you get that number, that you're accounting for all of the other things that may be added on, right? So that you can operate your business, you can pay for the triple nets that may be required, that you can also pay for if anything, goes wrong, maintenance, what that you're responsible for. There are so many things. And when you push it to the edge, just like with anything, even in your home, right? We've heard of house poor. Yeah. You want to just make sure that you have some cushion, right? Give yourself that runway so that if anything goes wrong, that you have that. But it's location. I mentioned to you, I'm in the DC area. It's location. That's really what it is. So you can if you go further out into the suburbs, you can get a much bigger space because, of the area, location, real estate, location. So.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. One of the things I wanted to also ask you today was about, like you talked about good property management and the talent. Now, sometimes if, like you talked about the broker, it's like, okay, we're done, sign the lease, now we hand you over to the property management talent. Sometimes people don't like the property management that they're working with, even though they like the place, and then vice versa. I'm just kind of being hypothetical with the example. So how does someone strike that balance so that they are actually comfortable doing business in those kind of places?
Really, so if you're looking at it from, you're saying from the retailer, like from a business operator side, they're
Yes.
having trouble with the property management,
Yes.
property manager. So what I would tell them, so have, really, I would say, like, what is it that they don't like? Is it the responsiveness? There's so many things that can come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say first, have the conversation with them, ask them for a meeting, ask them to just have a few minutes of their time, introduce yourself, and let them know spell out kind of what your needs are, and so you can try to get on the same page with like needs and expectation from them, right? And not all, like with anything, no, they're not all created equal, right? They're good ones, they're bad ones, and it's just, that's the way it is, right? But if you're not getting if you spelled out everything and you've tried to have those conversations and that's not going anywhere, then I would recommend escalating that, a step up, right? And I would escalate that a step up. If you can't get anything from that property manager, they have someone that they have to report to, right? And no owner wants to hear that their tenant is unhappy because of the property manager. That is definitely going against what they're getting paid to do, and that's just not going to be helpful for that relationship. So make sure if you have to escalate it, do that. The owners, and I have had owners who they're very proactive. They come out to this, and good ones do that. They have their pulse on what's going on their property and what's going on with their assets. Maybe they're not doing it every month, but maybe they have an annual visit.
Yeah.
I've had some that, they do that, or they may just drive out there anytime just to check on things, and they may like to have communication with those tenants directly. So you're going to have, it's different, but I would definitely say if you're not getting the answers that you need, you should definitely, escalate. But I believe in having conversations with people, like I said. It's usually effective.
Yeah, I think those conversations help a lot of questions that could be answered without you having to enter it and then you asking those questions after you've signed the lease.
Yeah, so you're saying meet with the property managers before you sign the lease?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea. Typically, that doesn't happen.
Why though?
Typically, you're dealing with the brokers directly, and the property managers it depends. But a lot of times, they're meeting with them and they're communicating, and then you don't get to meet that person until they've signed the lease.
Honestly, I don't think that is a good practice. That's me thinking, because eventually I'm going to be working with them. So why can't I get to know them before I connect with them? Because that way it helps me to do my research while I'm also doing research on the building. But maybe that's a policy or procedure that in the industry, those things, I don't know how it works, but I'm just thinking that it would be much better if they could, go the whole 9 yards and then make that informed decision based on what they've gone through, those conversations that they've had.
Oh no, I agree. I totally agree. I wish a lot of things would be different in real estate, but it takes one step. It does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but okay. A lot of times, and that's up to the business owner. That's why we're putting this information out there, right?
Right.
Do your research. I cannot stress that enough. Do your research. Make sure that you understand every aspect of this relationship that you're getting into. And if that means meeting with the individuals you're going to have communication with, do that. Even understanding about how that landlord operates, right? We've all heard about that. People go into this space and they're like, oh, that landlord, oh, they're not good. Do that research so that you know who you're entering that relationship with, not just a name on a paper. If you want to have more conversations with them, ask to do that.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. I think and like you said, not many people do that. So after them listening to this, they'll probably want to take that initiative and go into it, because experience, we know, is the best teacher. So if you learn through those experiences and grow from them, then you don't make that mistake if you ever want to renew or move or expand. It's because you've already had that 3-year groundwork experience,
Yeah. That's the best. Experience is the best teacher. Once you make that mistake, especially if it's a painful, expensive mistake, most times you're never doing that again, ever.
So true. When I think about places to, get property or commercially, right? What are the best platforms online or the websites that people should look out for when they're trying to consider? Because I know you said like you're in, DC area, but let's say somebody is just generally within the US, nationally based. If they're going online, what platforms can they look up to that are reputable, that they can start to do their research before making any form of decision?
I don't know. Should we do we want to give out their platforms names? I don't know. But I would advise you to, a simple Google search. If you're looking for a commercial property in this or retail property in this, you're going to find listings that come up in your area. Do you want me to give out?
If it doesn't go against your practice, great.
One that many people use here. And they use them everywhere. CoStar is a big one, right? CoStar is a big one that you can go in. They have, those commercial spaces, retail, even some, commercial multifamily spaces as well. That's a big reputable site that most use, a lot of brokers use.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I was asking is because some people don't even know where to start, so at least giving them that launching pad and then they can now do their own navigation. It's much better than just starting from scratch without no foundation.
Yeah, and then also reach out to people that are local to you, that you see, maybe you see their name on leasing signs in the area, right? Reach out to them and ask them. They're the professionals in that market, right? So reach out to them and see what information they can give you as well. So I encourage you to do that also. Do some work, of course, do some research on your own, but then also lean on the professionals that are in that market that you want to be in.
That's a great point. I think one of the things I've taken away, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will take away, is asking questions.
Yes. There are no stupid questions. There's nothing too big or small. And that's why I invite people to, if you have questions regarding property management, if you have questions regarding maybe you have some rental properties, or you have some commercial properties or real estate management business, right? Ask. You can reach out. I'm a resource. You can reach out to me. And if you have questions, we can get on a call and we can have a discussion and really chat about what you're going through, and I can see if I can help you. So I think asking questions, people are so open to it. A lot of times people think, I shouldn't ask that. I don't think they'll, don't put that out of your head and just ask. And if they can't help you, maybe they can refer you to someone else that can.
So true. So true. I think that's one thing I think a lot of people are going to take going forward, that if they ask those questions and they get the right answers, then they can do their research and then save themselves 2 years of torture because they spent 20 minutes on a call with you,
Right. And you can, I just think it's helpful just to move you along a little faster. And so many of us that are in the industry, we're happy to share what we know. I'm happy to share what I know. I have had people ask me just various things, big, small, and if I don't know, I'll say, what, I think I know someone who can help you with that. And I enjoy that part of it, mentoring, and so yeah.
Great. Wow. Thank you so much, Shira, for just being a beacon of light and helping a lot of people, answering all these amazing questions and clarifying some things, because I know also, in the new year, there's so many things that people are trying to do, and this is also one of them that they have to think about. They're like, okay, I got to restructure. If I did this last year, how can I do it better? And I know somebody that can help me get better at what I'm doing. So this is such a great opportunity for you to be here and just share that information with us.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. It was a great conversation. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can visit my website. I don't know, will you put the links in the show notes?
Yes.
Yeah, the links will be there. So I'm currently going through some rebranding, okay. But you can still reach me at reichics.com, and I'm creating a parent umbrella company, which is Shira Ali and Associates, which is consulting, advisory, and training for people in the real estate management industry. Oh, so nice. My contact will all be there. You can just reach out, and I'll get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shira, for being here, and I'm so glad that you're able to be here with us today, just giving us all this information, which people tend to not research a lot because they don't know much to research with, but you've kind of given us like a blueprint to work with, and I think this is an episode that will stand for a very long time and will give people a lot of perspective on what to do next with their business.
Good. I'm so happy to do it. One of my missions is to really diversify how wealth is created in the real estate space. So I hope some people hear this and take action.
Amazing. I appreciate you for doing that and being part of, the journey with us here at the We Don't Play, podcast show. So I appreciate you. I definitely look forward to connecting with you again, and definitely please come back because you're always invited to be here and be part of the family. So I appreciate you and hope you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.